Welcome to Inside NAU, a show highlighting Northern Arizona University. I'm your host, Carly Strauss. The second largest order of mammals and the only one capable of flight, bats are found in every habitat on Earth, with the exception of Antarctica and the Arctic. In the United States alone, there is close to 50 species of bats. Most common among these is the little brown bat, the big brown bat, and the Mexican free-tailed bat. Due to their mostly nocturnal nature, bats have often been associated with witchcraft, Dracula, and black magic. But the truth is, bats perform many vital ecological roles, including pollinating flowers, dispersing seeds, and consuming insects. While conservation efforts are in place to help protect bats, there are many new and impending threats to bat populations, primarily white-nose syndrome. In 2007, white-nose syndrome was first discovered in brown bats hibernating in New York. The disease quickly spread across the United States and into Canada. A fungus, white-nose is spread from bat to bat and grows around muzzles and wings during hibernation. Bats are extremely susceptible during this time as their immune systems are suppressed, making it hard to fight off disease. The fungus works quickly, first dehydrating the bat, forcing it to wake up, then burning stored fat reserves, eventually causing death from dehydration and starvation. Bat mortality from white-nose is estimated in the millions, and this number will most likely grow as white-nose spreads westward across the country. Because these bats are mostly insectivores and consume the insects that eat crops like wheat, corn, and fruit, the loss of these bats may have further ecological implications. Without these bats, insect populations will thrive, threatening crops and costing farmers a lot of money on expensive pesticides. Second to Texas, Arizona is a state with more bat species than any other, and yet little is known about population estimates, habitat requirements, and where bats hibernate. Brian Sanders has the story on how researchers and volunteers in northern Arizona are gathering this data before white-nose's seemingly imminent arrival.
The planet is changing, with warmer temperatures and erratic weather events. These shifts are manifesting in different ways as species work to adapt to global climate change. Scientists are looking to the smallest mammal, working to glean insights about the changing planet and to mitigate the effects on nature.
Well, bats can be interesting indicator species and tell us whether our ecosystems are healthy or not.
During the milder summer months, scientists spend many nights capturing bats and gathering data. Swab samples provide DNA, so researchers can get a better idea of bat populations in this high mountain desert and get other insights.
Bats are really cool animals. They're technologically advanced in many ways. They use this acoustic process to navigate, which is really hard for the human mind to understand because they really literally see with sound. They can echolocate off of a flying insect, and by the pulses of the wing beat and by the texture of the fur on the body of the insect, they could tell it's a juicy June bug and not a wasp, which would be a very serious mistake.
There are more than 1,100 bat species around the world, each contributing to the environment in different ways.
Here in northern Arizona, it's not warm most of the year, and so our bats eat insects, but if you move into the tropics, there are many bats there that feed on nectar, flowers, fruits, and so the many different services they provide for us, whether it's pollinating or controlling insects, are, if we lose these species, we could really alter our planet.
Disease, development, drought. Bats face many challenges.
I think one thing we've learned is that it's often not apparent how important a species is until it's gone. And so it's generally a better plan to try and keep them around if you can.
Cane Ranch is a remote spread near the Arizona-Utah border. The conservation group Grand Canyon Trust owns the cattle ranch and is actively working to improve the landscape for its inhabitants.
We certainly don't want to be responsible for losing bats, and so as a first step, we want to make sure that we're understanding how our actions are affecting bats. But across the country, bats are probably becoming one of the most imperiled groups of any wildlife species. As white nose syndrome sort of moves from east to west, there's a very good chance that a lot of the things that we take for granted as being common right now could dwindle or even disappear.
Uh-oh, fungus on the nose right there.
White nose syndrome is a fungus responsible for killing millions of bats as it spreads from the east coast westward. Considered the country's worst wildlife epidemic, the disease is spread primarily in caves among hibernating bats. And with more than 1,000 caves in and around the Grand Canyon, this region could become a breeding ground for white nose.
When we come back,
It is a race against time, and we're truly dealing with the extinction or potential extinction of several bat species in the United States.
researchers work to gather data to help alleviate white nose's deadly arrival.
In terms of the Southwest, there's not been any studies done to look at wildfire and how bats respond.